2 years ago, my own daughter Lydia stood in the middle of the living room, the same room where she'd taken her first steps, and told me I had to leave. Her husband, Mason, stood behind her, arms crossed, like a soldier guarding his post. "You can't live here anymore, Dad," Lydia said, her voice clipped, rehearsed. "We've decided this is what's best. You've got $10 in your wallet. That should get you by for now." $10. I looked down at the bill she pressed into my palm, as though she were granting me mercy. $10 after 70 years of working, building, saving, and raising her. My hands trembled, not from age this time, but from something uglier, humiliation. I remember the walls that day, the wallpaper I had chosen with her mother, the scuffs from Lydia's childhood toys. Every mark told a story. And yet, she looked at me like I was an intruder in my own home. "Lydia," I whispered, my throat dry. "This house, it's mine. I built it brick by brick. How can you?" Mason interrupted. "Old man, you're holding her back. She needs her life. We don't owe you anything." I stared at them, searching for some glimmer of the girl I had raised, the one who used to sit on my lap while I read her bedtime stories, the one who cried into my chest when she lost her first tooth. But her eyes were cold, her lips pressed tight, as if every memory had been erased. I walked out with nothing but the clothes on my back, a photograph of her mother folded in my wallet, and those 10 crumpled dollars. The front door slammed behind me like a final verdict. And that was how my daughter abandoned me. I thought I had lost everything that day. But what happened when she came back years later made me realize the real battle hadn't even begun. The weeks that followed were a blur of gray streets, church basements, and nights on stiff mattresses that smelled of disinfectant. I wasn't homeless exactly. I had a cousin in Oregon who let me stay in his garage, but I felt rootless, like a tree yanked from the soil and left to rot. Each morning, I'd sit on a folding chair by the window, clutching a chipped mug of instant coffee, and ask myself the same question. How did it come to this? I had always imagined my final years surrounded by family, maybe telling stories to grandchildren in the backyard I'd tended for decades. Instead, I was counting pennies at the grocery store, calculating whether I could afford bread and milk in the same week. The $10 Lydia gave me was gone in 2 days: bus fare, a sandwich, a pack of socks from the discount store. $10 for a father's entire life. The betrayal stung sharper at night. I'd lie awake, listening to the hum of the neighbor's dryer through the garage wall, and replay that moment, Lydia's eyes, void of warmth. I wanted to hate her, but the truth was more complicated. A father doesn't stop loving his child, even when they twist the knife. Love just becomes a wound that never heals. One afternoon, I tried calling her. I sat on the curb outside a laundromat, the phone heavy in my hand. She answered on the second ring. "Lydia, it's me," I said softly. A pause. Then her voice, colder than I remembered. "Dad, I told you we can't keep doing this. You have to move on. We have our own lives." "But I'm still your father," I whispered, my voice cracking. Another silence, longer this time. Then the line went dead. She had hung up. I stared at the black screen until the reflection of my own tired face blurred into tears. That was the last time I heard her voice for almost 2 years. During that silence, I rebuilt. Slowly, painfully. I picked up odd jobs, fixing fences, painting sheds, mending old radios for neighbors. I saved every penny, not for her, not for Mason, but for myself. And with each nail I hammered and every hour I worked, I felt pieces of my dignity return. Still, I carried the weight of her betrayal in my chest, like a stone I couldn't put down. And just when I had learned to live without her, Lydia came back, with demands that would test every ounce of patience I had left. What she wanted this time was beyond selfish. It was a Sunday afternoon when Lydia appeared again, almost 2 years to the day since she'd shoved me out of my own home. I was sitting on the porch of a small rental house I'd managed to buy with all those patched-together jobs. The place wasn't much, 2 bedrooms, sagging floorboards, and a yard overrun with weeds, but it was mine. And more than that, it was peace. I heard a car door slam, then footsteps crunching up the gravel path. I didn't expect visitors. When I looked up, there she was, my daughter, Lydia. She looked different. The shine in her hair was gone, her makeup smudged with fatigue, her once proud posture bent under some invisible weight. Mason wasn't with her. She was alone, clutching a leather handbag like it was the only solid thing she had left. "Dad," she said, her voice trembling. "I need to talk to you." My first instinct was anger, raw and bitter, clawing its way up my throat. "Now you remember I exist?" Now you call me Dad? But when I looked into her eyes, I saw something I hadn't seen the day she threw me out. Fear. I didn't move. Talk then, I said flatly, motioning toward the steps. She sat, knees pressed together, hands twisting in her lap like a child caught in a lie. She swallowed hard. Things didn't work out with Mason. He left. Took everything. And now, she hesitated, glanced away, then met my gaze again. Now I need a place to stay. I stared at her, stunned. 1,000 memories flooded my mind. Her laughter as a little girl, the way she clung to my hand on her first day of school, the betrayal when she cast me out like garbage. And then, like a knife cutting through, her words, "Your house, Dad. The big one. The one worth nearly $900,000 now. I want to move back in." The audacity left me speechless. My house. The home she had stolen from me with Mason, the place they had claimed for themselves. And now, when her carefully built world crumbled, she came crawling back, not to me, but to the walls, the roof, the dollar signs. "Lydia," I said slowly, each word stone, "do you realize what you're asking me?" She flinched. "I'm your daughter. Where else am I supposed to go?" I laughed then, not from humor, but from disbelief. A laugh that sounded foreign, even to my own ears. I looked at her long and hard, feeling the years of silence, the weight of betrayal, the ache of loneliness. My heart wavered between love and fury. She was my child. And yet, she was also the one who had cast me out into the cold. But instead of answering her right away, I decided to let her reveal just how desperate she really was. What she confessed next shook me to my core. Silence stretched between us, heavy as lead. The wind rustled the dry weeds in my yard, but neither of us moved. I could feel her eyes burning into me, waiting for some sign of mercy. Instead, I folded my arms and leaned back in the creaking chair. "Tell me," I said quietly. "Why now?" Lydia's lips quivered. She dug through her handbag as if the answer might be hiding in its depths. When she finally looked up, I saw its shame. Not the shallow embarrassment of being caught, but the deep, raw kind that eats away at a person. "Mason wasn't who I thought he was," she admitted, her voice breaking. "He drained our accounts. Every cent. Then he left with some younger woman from his office." My jaw tightened. "The man you chose over your father. The one you defended while you pushed me onto the street." She kept talking, words tumbling out like a dam breaking. "The bills piled up. The mortgage on the house, your house, we couldn't keep up. I lost it, Dad. It's gone. Bank repossessed it months ago. I've been staying with friends on couches anywhere I could. But I can't keep doing this. I need stability. I need home." Home. That word stung. To her, home was bricks and dollars. To me, home had always been something else. Family, trust, love, the very things she had shredded. I felt a deep ache rise inside me, but I kept my voice steady. "So let me understand. You kicked me out of my own house. You chose Mason, and together you stripped me of dignity. And now, after all that, you come to me because he left you penniless?" Her shoulders shook. She didn't answer. "You didn't call when I was sleeping in a garage," I continued. "You didn't check when I was patching fences just to buy bread. 2 years, Lydia. 2 years of silence. And now you remember I exist?" Tears welled in her eyes. She opened her mouth, but no sound came out. For the first time, I saw her not as the daughter who betrayed me, but as a broken woman, hollowed by her own choices. Yet even then, something inside me resisted softening. My wounds were still raw. "You're not telling me everything," I said finally. "What else is there?" Her head jerked up, panic flashing across her face. And in that moment I knew, her story wasn't just about Mason leaving. There was more. Something darker. Something she was hiding. And when she finally revealed the truth she'd been holding back, I realized this wasn't just about a daughter needing shelter. It was about a secret that threatened to tear what little was left of our family apart. Lydia's fingers tightened on her handbag until her knuckles turned white. For a moment, I thought she might bolt, like a frightened child who'd been caught sneaking candy. But then her whole body sagged, as though the weight of her secret was finally too heavy to carry alone. "There's something else," she whispered, barely audible. "Say it," I pressed, my voice low but firm. She hesitated, tears spilling down her cheeks. "It's not just Mason. It's me. I signed things I shouldn't have. Loans. Credit cards. He told me it was for our future. He said if my name was on it, we'd qualify for more. But he left and now," her voice cracked, Now the debt collectors are after me. They've threatened to sue. Dad, they said they might come after you too, because of the house. I felt my stomach twist. My house. The home I had poured decades of sweat into. The one that had been stolen from me and turned into their trophy. And you let him put liens against it. I asked, my voice sharper than I intended. She looked at me, her eyes swollen, desperate. I didn't know what I was signing. I trusted him. I thought, she broke off, covering her face with her hands. I thought he loved me. A bitter laugh escaped me, harsh and humorless. Love? Love doesn't drain your accounts. Love doesn't leave you drowning in debt. And trust. You threw mine away the day you pushed me out with 10 lousy dollars. She flinched as if struck. I know, Dad. I was wrong. I was blind. But please, I have nowhere else to go. I need you. I need that house. Her words cut me deeply, not because of their plea, but because of what they revealed. Even now, even ruined, she wasn't asking for me. She was asking for the house. The walls. The value. The security. I stared at her, my chest tight with grief and fury. I wanted to shout, to demand why my blood, my years, my sacrifices meant so little. But all I could do was whisper, "Do you even care about me, Lydia? Or am I just another asset to use?" For a long, aching silence, she said nothing. And her silence was an answer in itself. I thought betrayal had limits, but her next move proved she was willing to cross a line I never imagined my own daughter would dare approach. When Lydia finally raised her head, there was no softness left in her eyes. The tears were gone, replaced by something sharper, calculated, almost rehearsed. "I talked to a lawyer," she said, her voice steadier now. "He told me that because I lived in that house with Mason for over 2 years, I might have a claim. Maybe even ownership rights." Her words hit me like a hammer to the chest. My own daughter. The child I carried on my shoulders, the girl whose scraped knees I bandaged, was threatening to take me to court for the very house she had once exiled me from. I leaned forward, my hands gripping the arms of the chair, until the wood creaked. "Lydia," I said slowly, try to keep the tremor out of my voice, "are you standing here telling me you want to steal from me again?" She blinked but didn't back down. "It's not stealing. It's the law. And Dad, I don't have options left. If I don't have that house, I'll be on the street. Do you want that for your daughter?" The manipulation dripped from every word. For years, I had swallowed my pride, given her every piece of myself, always bending so she wouldn't break. But in that moment, something inside me hardened. I stood, forcing her to tilt her head up to meet my eyes. "Do you remember," I said quietly, "the day you gave me $10 and told me to get out? Did you think I'd forget? Did you think I'd sit here waiting, like some broken dog, for the day you decided I was useful again?" Her lips parted, but I didn't let her speak. "No, Lydia," I continued, my voice rising. "You made your choice. You chose Mason, you chose greed, you chose silence. And now you come here not because you love me, not because you want family, but because you want my roof, my walls, my hard-earned home. Do you even hear yourself?" Her face twisted, half in anger, half in shame. For the first time since she arrived, she looked like she might shatter. But instead, she whispered, "If you won't help me, I'll find another way. You won't like it." A chill ran through me, not because of her words, but because I realized how far she was willing to sink. This wasn't just desperation. It was betrayal taking root, growing thorns. I stepped back, staring at the woman who used to be my little girl, and wondered, had I lost her forever? But before I could answer that question for myself, Lydia revealed her final card, a threat so cruel and unthinkable, it forced me to choose between my dignity and my blood. Lydia stood on my porch, arms folded now, her trembling replaced by a cold defiance that sent a chill through me. Her words still echoed my ears. "You won't like it." I swallowed hard. "What exactly are you saying, Lydia?" She didn't flinch. "If you don't let me live in that house, or give it to me outright, I'll make sure people know who you really are. You think everyone sees you as this noble old man, this victim of his daughter's mistakes. But I can change that story." I stared at her, my breath catching. "What lies are you talking about?" She smirked, but it wasn't confidence. It was desperation wearing a mask. "It doesn't matter if it's true. Mason told people you were abusive, that you threw me out. That's why we cut you off. Imagine if I kept saying it, Dad. Imagine if I told everyone, neighbors, the church, even the police, that you mistreated me. At your age, with your reputation, who do you think they'd believe?" For a moment, the ground beneath me seemed to tilt. My knees wobbled, and I gripped the railing to steady myself. My daughter, the same child I once carried through thunderstorms so she wouldn't get wet, was threatening to destroy my name. I could feel my pulse pounding in my temples, but I forced my voice to stay calm. "Lydia, you know that isn't true." Her eyes glistened, but her tone was sharp. "Truth doesn't matter anymore, Dad. Perception does. And right now, I'm drowning. If I have to drag you under to keep my head above water, I will." Her words cut deeper than any knife could. For 70 years, I had prided myself on living clean, on being the kind of man who kept his word, who worked hard, who carried dignity like armor. Now my own blood threatened to stain it all with a lie. I sat back down in a chair, my body heavy, my hands trembling slightly. I thought of her mother, gone so many years now. What would she say if she saw this moment? Would she blame me for failing Lydia, or would she understand that some hearts rot no matter how much love you pour into them? The air between us grew thick, suffocating. I looked at Lydia, really looked at her. Behind the hardness, behind the threats, I saw a woman crumbling. She was cornered, clawing at the walls, and in her desperation, she chose to wound me rather than face her own mistakes. Something inside me broke then, not the fragile love I still carried for her, but the illusion that she might one day return as the daughter I remembered. That fantasy died on my porch, beneath the weight of her ultimatum. I leaned forward, my voice steady, almost whispering. "If you're willing to trade your father's name for a roof over your head, then I see now, you're not my daughter anymore. You're just another stranger knocking at my door, looking for what you can take." Her mouth opened, but I raised my hand, stopping her. "And I've already paid enough, Lydia. More than you'll ever know." She froze, her face pale, her body stiff. For the first time, she seemed to realize she might have gone too far. But it was too late. My decision was already forming in my heart, solid and unshakable. I had been silent for 2 years, but not anymore. It was time for me to take back control, not just of the house, but of my life. And the way I did it left Lydia stunned, with no power left to hurt me. I sat there for a long time, studying her face, the same face I had once kissed goodnight 1,000 times. My chest ached, but not from weakness anymore. It was the ache of clarity. "Lydia," I said finally, my voice firm. "You came here thinking I was the same man you left with $10 in his pocket. But you don't know me anymore. You don't know what I've built since you turned your back on me." Her brow furrowed. "What do you mean?" I stood and walked inside, leaving her sitting there. When I returned, I carried a folder, thick, heavy, its edges worn from my hands. I laid it down on the table between us. "While you were gone," I continued, "I worked. I saved. I bought this little house. But more than that, I fought. I took you and Mason to court without you ever knowing. I proved the house you claimed was mine alone, free of liens you signed. And it's mine again now, legally, permanently. You have no claim." Her face went pale. "What? That's not possible." I slid the court papers toward her. Her hands shook as she skimmed them, her lips parting, as the truth sank in. Every page confirmed what I said. She had nothing. No house. No rights. No power. Tears brimmed in her eyes, but I didn't feel triumph, only a strange, heavy peace. "I kept quiet because I hoped one day you might come back as my daughter," I said softly. "But the woman sitting here is not the child I raised. She's a stranger, and strangers don't get to destroy my life." Lydia pressed her palms to her face, sobbing. "I don't have anyone else, Dad." I felt a pang in my chest, but I didn't bend this time. I placed my wedding ring, the one I'd worn since her mother gave it to me, on the folder. The metal glinted in the afternoon sun. "Your mother asked me, before she died, to never let you fall completely. So here's what I'll do. I'll give you enough to start again, not the house, not my life, but a chance. You'll have to decide if you use it to climb or to sink. But after this, Lydia, I'm done. I won't let you bleed me dry anymore." I pulled out a check, money I'd saved for years. It wasn't much compared to what she demanded, but it was enough for rent, food, and a clean slate. I slid it across the table. She stared at it, then at me. "You turn your back on me." I shook my head slowly. "No, you turned your back on me long ago. I'm just finally facing the truth." I stood, turned, and walked back into my house. For the first time in years, I felt the weight of betrayal lift. Behind me, I heard her footsteps retreating down the gravel path, slower than when she came. That night, I sat alone at my kitchen table. The house was quiet, filled with memories of laughter long gone. But it was mine again. Not just the bricks and beams, but the dignity, the control, the life I had reclaimed. I whispered to the empty room, as if my late wife were still there. I kept my promise. I gave her one last chance. But now, finally, I can live for me. And for the first time in years, I slept without dreams. The father regains his house and his dignity. He gives his daughter a final lifeline, but sets firm boundaries, reclaiming peace, control, and moral victory.